This movie has gotten so much hype. So is it worth the watch? Let's dive in. Welcome everybody to another episode of Coda's Cove. Today we're talking about one battle after another starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, and other notable actors and actresses. So to let you know what the plot is, it's kind of an easy, quick plot. Leo and his girlfriend, wife, baby mama were doing some pretty crazy stuff. They were doing political warfare, bombing buildings, doing all sorts of chaotic things, and they eventually have a child. General that they pissed off and screwed over that you see at the beginning of the movie is coming after everybody, actually eliminating, I believe they're called the French 75, the French 76, something like that. And it's just a movie about them surviving, trying to deal with this situation. The general's going after Leo's daughter because he finds out that they had a daughter. Everybody in this movie brought their A game. You know what you're getting when Leonardo DiCaprio is on screen. Sean Penn does a great job. Everybody in this movie does a fantastic job. Leo's daughter in the role, she does very good in the scenes that she's in. Benicio del Toro is one of my favorite characters in the movie. He's not in the movie very long, but he pretty much, every scene he's in, he steals the show. The whole sequence with him trying to help Leonardo DiCaprio escape so he can go try to find his daughter is really great. Sean Penn does a fantastic job as Colonel Lockjaw in this movie. Yeah, hilarious name. He brought humor to this movie that I was not expecting. The start of this movie is WTF from stuff that goes on. The whole movie, to explain in one word, is chaotic. The pacing is very fast, scene to scene to scene. You are constantly getting into something. And in this movie, Sean Penn brings like this weird humor to this colonel, and it's hilarious. Leonardo DiCaprio, his character, he kind of brings a little bit of Jordan Belfort to his character in this movie. There are some hilarious scenes with him because after they're done with the revolution stuff and they're off on their own trying to live life and just lay low, he becomes just a total burnout, constantly getting high, drinking, just sitting around. And some of the scenes where he is starting to panic and try to get himself to calm down were hilarious. Me and my buddy in the theater, we were rolling at some of the scenes in here. We did not expect it to be this funny at certain spots. And that goes along with this movie. So what I like is there is some very heavy subject matter talked about in this movie. You know, political violence, some of the topics brought in that the politics are talking about in the movie. Very heavy subject matter. But they do a great job, Paul Thomas Anderson, of bringing in satire into it. So for it being the heavy subject matter that is, the humor kind of lets you relax a little bit and enjoy the movie. So I did like that. I thought it was very clever and unique how they were able to weave in and out of the tough subject matters that we're talking about, but using satire in it to kind of bring some humor along with it. Like I said, the movie is pure chaos. Once we start ramping up to when Leo is trying to get his daughter and save his daughter, this whole sequence of when he goes to the sensei that we all see in the trailer, he's asking if he's got weapons. All he's got are nunchucks. There is the musical score. What they do in this was, I thought, very creative. There's this one little bit of like jazz music playing, and you constantly hear these piano notes hitting. And I tell you, for a good 45 minutes, this is the only song that the soundtrack or the score is playing throughout it. And it's ramping up as everything else is ramping up. So it adds to the level of making you get on the edge of your seat. You're starting to feel the tension of the moment. You are starting to be like, all right, we got to hurry up and get this. It makes you go into a panic because Leo's going through it, man. He's on drugs. He's trying to like figure out what to do. He doesn't know what to really do. He can't remember codes that the revolutionaries are using to help them find the rendezvous point where they're going to be bringing his daughter. And all this chaos is surrounding him and all this stuff going on. You have one drop of water hitting you on the head constantly. It's going to send you into a frenzy. That's kind of what the musical score does here. I thought it was very creative. I thought it was very cool. I will say this movie I was a little bit shorter than what I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going about to be in for like a 3 hour, 15-minute movie. It's a little under 3 hours, but you do kind of feel it at points. It does feel like a longer movie, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I enjoyed the movie very much. I thought it was a fun ride, start to finish, but does feel a little long. I do think, however, that this movie is getting just a little overhyped. I'm not the biggest PTA fan of his movies. So if you're not either, you might not like this because this is just right up his alley for other, works that he's done and directed. But I do feel like this was a little overrated. I've heard a lot of people say this is one of the best movies of our generation. I'm not going to say that. I had fun. I enjoyed the film. I would probably watch it again. I don't follow with that. I don't think that it's that great of a film. But overall, for my rating for the film, I'm going to be decently pretty high. And we're going to be using decimals this time. A lot of people have asked me to do that because they don't like just the whole round number. So if I had to give one battle after another a rating, I'm going to go 8.3 out of 10. I had a lot of fun. I like the chaotic pacing that this movie had. I like the characters, especially Leo and Lockjaw. I thought they did great. The scenes and the use of the score to add to the scenes I thought was very unique. This isn't some crazy movie that we haven't seen before. It's very interesting. I do like the satire elements added into it. I felt that added to the experience. So yeah, I'm gonna go 8.3. I do think you should go see this in theaters because the sound design with some of the stuff I thought was very well done. The music playing as your action and everything starting to ramp up, I thought it added to the experience. So I do recommend seeing this in theater. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Coda's Cove. Hey, if you like the content, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, comment below. Did you see one battle after another? What did you think of the film? And as always, be a friend, tell a friend to come on down to the cove because the water is fine.